Good morning. Welcome to the Unity Center of West Lynn, Oregon, October 18th, 2020. My name is Jan Carruthers, and I am your service assistant today. And we bless and welcome every one of you who is here this morning by divine appointment. I welcome you. And if you're new to Unity or Unity of West Lynn, we have a wonderful website at www.worldhealing.org, and it's filled with information. Our center is a ministry where people of all ages, backgrounds, and beliefs celebrate the one common spiritual thread that lives in every heart. And so if this morning you would like to close your eyes as we open with prayer, and we know that there is only one power. There's only one life. That life is God. That life is divine mind, heart, spirit, in which each of us lives and moves and has our being. And I speak a word this morning for this perfect day, for you to have found your way to this time of reverence and silence, and an opportunity to commune with your deepest, finest, most loving self. And this is the time we know that there is no separation between us and our good. There's no separation from us and our health. And we speak our word for all those who may be suffering, who may feel distant, who may be worried in this challenging time as we see our way clear to the truth of our being. And with that, I welcome you and bring together all of us for this perfect day. And with that, I want to offer some wonderful music. Here we go.
Everything beneath the sun breathes like a harmonium. Pure perfection has begun, shining like a midnight sun. Out of darkness I have come. I see God in everyone. Let me be an instrument, guided by an heaven sent. May these grapes of pain ferment, alchemize to love's content. Ever be a sacrament, knowing God is my intent. God, let me know your name. Hold me in the same breath as your word. God, I feel you all around. Oh, how you astound me with your grace. Rolling like a me know your name. Hold me in the same breath as your word. God, I feel you all around. Oh, how you astound me with your grace. God, let me know your name. Hold me in the same breath as your word. God, I feel you all around. Oh, how you astound me with your grace. God, let me know your name. Hold me in the same breath as your word. God, I feel you all around. Oh, how you astound me with your grace. Out of darkness I have come. I see God in everyone.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Jan. And wow, I want to thank Jan this morning. She does so much for this community and has done so much for this community for so long. And what else I know about her is she has served in other communities in leadership and guidance and for individuals too. So thank you, Jan. Thank you for being part of this. Thank you for your gift for you. Really, really love you. And wow, that song was so meditative. I don't know about you, but I just closed my eyes and allowed those words to just sink into me. So, good morning. Welcome again to this Sunday celebration, heart to heart and home to home. And wow. It's just been a wonderful, wonderful week for me, and I am so happy to be here. And I hope you're comfortable. I kind of feel like I can't see you all, so I'm pretending that we're sitting here in my living room and we're having a conversation. So I'm pretending I can see you, and I'm so glad that you're here watching. So this morning, we're talking about how to create miracles in our life. And I'm finishing a class on Shortcut to a Miracle, and it's based on a book of that name. One that I started before that we were rushed into quarantine, and we're finishing it up now. But it's a simple to read and truth-packed book, and I'm using this book as a jumping off place for inspiration for our upcoming talks. And you might want to look into purchasing that book and just following along. It really is pretty inspiring. Shortcut to a Miracle. What he says in the book, he and she say in the book, is that miracles are natural. Anytime your life or my life is better through unexpected channels or circumstances, or circumstances that just feel so awesome, it's an example of a miracle. And a miracle is really a natural happening, responding to universal laws. So guys, it is not something out of the ordinary, like God just like changes the law and changes nature because somehow he's happier with us. It has nothing to do with that. It's just natural happenings responding to these laws. And so, because of that, we all can feel like miracles are possible for each one of us. Well, natural happenings that feel like miracles. And our New Thought Unity movement actually began with those kind of miracles. In the 19th century, early 20th century, and probably throughout time, but for us, those are memorable times. Tuberculosis also was known as consumption, a disease caused by bacteria that usually attacks the lungs, was just epidemic. And yet, at the turn of the 20th century, did you know it was the leading cause of death in the United States? And we don't hear about it too much, but it was a frightening thing at that time. And the disease was known as this great white plague. And it didn't matter how young or old or rich or poor you were, it seemed that no one was safe from tuberculosis. So I want to tell you just a little bit of story here about Myrtle and Charles Fillmore, who were founders, of course, of Unity. In 1885, a few short years after Myrtle and Charles were married, she was found to be suffering with tuberculosis or consumption. And she'd really had it for a long time, but it just acted up severely at that time. And she also, on top of that, had this recurrence of malaria. So they gave her perhaps 6 months to live, and it was just a really sad time for that little family. But as it would happen when we're talking about coincidences that are also sometimes appear like a miracle in our life, a Dr. Weeks, who was a proponent and speaker of this young New Thought movement, came to town, and a friend of Myrtle's who knew of his work invited Myrtle to attend a lecture. And his message just rang so true to her. And for many of us who've walked into a New Thought church for the first time and heard the message, I think we can pretty much understand how she might have felt. And she walked out of that hall repeating words that Unity students would repeat throughout decades. She said, "I am a child of God. I do not inherit sickness." And she really got it. She really believed it. In that moment, it went right to her heart, to her being, to her deep belief system. And she devoted this, she repeated that and repeated that and repeated that, and devoted herself to this new teaching. And over time, she was transformed. Her body healed, which was amazing for tuberculosis to heal in those days. But it not only transformed her body, it was also her mind and spirit. And Charles wasn't really into it right then, but he had his own health problems. And later on, he had his own healing experience. And together, out of this, they founded Unity, which has become a major movement throughout the world, through which many, many people have been healed in body, mind, and spirit. And here we are today at a Unity Center, gift of their work. So New Thought, which Unity is a part of, that's kind of like an umbrella over different churches and movements within that teaching. So New Thought arose out of the transcendental philosophy of the 19th century and the healing experience of Phineas Parkhurst Quimby. And we're not going to talk about transcendentalism, even though I absolutely could go on for hours about that. I will spare you. But I do want to say something about Phineas Parkhurst Quimby. And many of you know his story. And I'm going to shorten it considerably here for time's sake. By the way, don't you just love that name, Phineas Parkhurst Quimby? I told my son the other day, I said, Yeah, I could have just named you that. And, he was startled and glad that I didn't know about Quimby when he was born. But anyway, so many of us know his story. Quimby was a watchmaker in Maine, and he had his own healing experience, which led him ultimately to hypnosis. And he worked with a fellow by the name of Lucian Berkmeyer, and he would put Berkmeyer in a trance and received diagnosis for people. And they had people come to them for diagnosis and healing and prescriptions and whatnot. And they did this for a long time. And so one time, Quimby had suffered from this severe back pain for some time, and he was fully aware that it was his kidneys, or he believed it was his kidneys. And he'd never put Lucian's in a trance to talk about his own welfare, but he did this one day, and he asked him what was the matter with him. And Lucian said, well, indeed, it was his kidneys. A part of a kidney had split off and was just hanging by a thread. So and then he asked him what he could do about it, and Lucian sat up and put his hands on Phineas's back, and Phineas felt this experience. And Lucian said, well, your kidneys are healed. And after that, he had no problem whatsoever with that. But Quimby began to study, when you have experiences like that, I don't know about you, but I would want to know everything and what was going on. And so he began to study voraciously. And what happened with him, he came to a realization that perhaps it wasn't Lucius going into some trance. Maybe he was reading his mind, but that it had to do with Quimby's own belief. And he realized that people's beliefs, or he came to believe and understand that people's beliefs had captured people's minds, and so they lived out their diagnosis. And remember that time in the early 19th century, medicine was not actually not only what it was today, it might have been a death sentence. It was pretty primitive. So other ways of healing were absolutely important. And so he came to believe that he had found the secret healing that Jesus had practiced. And he wrote in his study notes that it seemed to him, therefore, that the cure could not be attributed to medicine, but rather to the patient's confidence in the doctor or the medium through which the prescription was made. And we might call that a placebo effect today. And so he established a healing practice, and hundreds of people came to him, and they were cured through his belief and their belief in his belief. And one of the people who was healed was Mary Baker Eddy, and she took this information and went her own way with Christian Science. And Theodore Dresser, who would take Quimby's system beyond the borders of Maine to what would become the New Thought movement. So he knew that, here's Quimby just knew that when Jesus said, go to the blind man, your faith has healed you. And immediately he received his sight and followed Jesus along the road. Or when, as the gospel story goes, that while heading to Jairus' house, Jesus was approached by a woman who had been bleeding for 12 years, and she just touched Jesus's cloak. She didn't want to bother him, of course, and was instantly healed. Jesus recognized that power going out of him, and he turned and he said to the woman, your faith has healed you. Go in peace. So was it some unusual miracle that stepped out of the bounds of nature by the hands of some God, or was it something else? Jesus said it himself, your faith has healed you, and you can do what I do. So why do you doubt? So miracles are not something mysterious reserved for someone like a Jesus. In this book, Shortcut to a Miracle, we read, miracles happen through natural and normal circumstances. And the science of quantum physics is proving that we are, every one of us, already wired for miracles. And I love the science because it so affirms what we have always known and what we have practiced in this teaching. And now along comes a science that, in its own methods, affirms exactly. And guys, isn't it just nice to be proved right? I mean, is there anything better than to be right? So that's one of the things I absolutely love about science. So, a miracle is a series of natural events occurring in the right sequence at the right time to produce wonderful results. And so, this ability exists for all of us, not just some people. As the life energy flows through each one of us, we have the opportunity to use that energy with freedom and our own discretion. And I'm not proposing that every illness will be cured. I don't know what somebody else's soul needs, but I do know that healing is possible. And perhaps healing is something beyond a cure. And I do believe in the possibility of cures of all sorts. I've seen it. So, first class consciousness. I become the observer. After 5 classes, and I've taught this class, I've taught this class, Shortcut to a Miracle, before. And I've noticed, I want to talk about the first class I taught, and I call it the first class consciousness. And I discovered something along the way in teaching this class to different groups. But in the first class I taught, this Shortcut to a Miracle, oh my gosh, it was just amazing. We had quite a large class. And in no time at all, people were coming in with these financial prosperity stories. One of the gals came one day and said, oh my God, I just got a $10,000 check from my employer. I had no idea anything about it. Nobody told me anything. It wasn't a bonus. I just got this check. And things like that began to happen. I was like, wow, this is so cool. And yeah, I know miracles happen, but then you're sitting in the midst of things like that, and it's still quite amazing. And so the last time I taught this class, there was like this total different experience. I'm teaching this class and I'm expecting people to just start rolling in money here, like the other class. And it didn't happen. It didn't happen. So I was like confused, am I doing this class right? What's going on? But I began to notice, and I became an observer in this class. After about 5 classes, a deep bonding experience occurred. And I've taught a lot of classes, but and they share things, but this one was a deeper bonding among people who some knew each other, but most of them really hadn't known each other before the class. And they began to share through this something profound experiences in their life. There was a releasing, and there were tears, and there was empathy. And it was like there was a soul healing going on. And it totally surprised me. And I realized that was the miracle called forth by the group consciousness that was needed for them. I had an expectation, but I don't know. So I realized I'm just a container that provides a place for this class, but there is a consciousness that a group comes together. And that I don't think we come together by accident. And for this group, what they needed was not the financial prosperity, although that's wonderful, but a deep healing of other things that were going on for us. So miracles, many kind of miracles that absolutely meet our individual soul need. And miracles don't happen to us, guys. They happen by means of us. So I don't have a lot of expectations anymore when I go in to a class. I just know that all is perfect. And as we come together with an intention, that intention works through our souls. Intention moves energy. It moves the quantum field for us. And so they become classes and our Sunday services and our teaching become a place where we are reminded that as we change our thinking, we change our consciousness and we change our lives. And truth is, we all have areas where we could adjust and change our thinking, our habit of thinking. I am fully aware that I do. And I'm not saying we just overnight, well, it happens sometimes for people, but usually it's like a process. And I think of habits. I always think of habits like the Oregon Trail, because I love the history of the Western movement. And you can go to Eastern Oregon and you can still see the remainders of these ruts for all these wagon trains came across. And our habits are like these constant things that deep grooves perhaps in our brain. And it takes over time for those to change, and like these ruts in the Oregon Trail to fill in, so they gradually begin to disappear and they don't affect our behavior so much. It just takes patience and knowing that there's a process, and that process is going on in us. And what I love about the early teachers in our movement was the deep level of belief from both experience and reason. And they got what we are wired for, and that's miracles. So our shortcut requires that we have the appropriate mental framework and the correct beliefs about ourselves and our relationship to life. And I was thinking, what could we do for a miracle this week? What is a miracle? And it just occurred to me, and I like things to be easy. I mean, I can work hard, but if I don't have to work hard, I am a happy camper. So I thought, what is easy? What about a smile? And so I'm reading about a smile, and in a smile, do you know your brain releases tiny molecules called neuropeptides to fight off stress? And then these other neurotransmitters like dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins come into play too. And the endorphins act as a mild pain reliever, whereas the serotonin is an antidepressant. And one study even suggests that smiling can help us recover faster from stress and reduce our heart rate. So how about this week, all of us try to smile, and let that be our miracle in the making. So blessings on your week. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Julie. That was terrific. That was terrific. So the next thing we have is a piece of music that will be terrific to hear. And it's not exactly on the subject of miracles, but it is sort of. So.
Here are some things some people said. I didn't write these words. I just came along with notes and chords and put them all into verse. The question that someone posed to them, the answers that they returned. They were asked to complete a simple phrase beginning with I have learned. 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 that you can't hide a piece of broccoli in a glass of milk.
I have learned that when I wave at people in the country, they stop what they're doing and they wave right back.
I have learned that just when I get my room the way I like it, Mom makes me clean it up.
And I have learned, though it's hard to admit, I'm secretly glad my parents are strict with me. I have learned I don't learn much from TV.
I have learned, I have learned, I have learned,
I have learned that one of life's greatest pleasures is brushing my child's hair.
I have learned that wherever I go, the world's worst drivers have followed me there.
I have learned that there are people who love you dearly. They just can't show it. That's not their tune. I have learned that if you're not living on the edge, you're probably taking up too much room. I have learned that Motel mattresses are better on the side away from the telephone.
I have learned not to cast the first stone. I have learned, I have learned, I have learned, I have learned.
I have learned that a vegetable garden is better than a cabinet full of pills.
I have learned that children and grandparents become natural allies and always will.
I have learned you shouldn't go through life with the catcher's mitt on both hands. You need to be able to throw something back.
I have learned that I now love one of the things I hated most as a kid, taking a nap. I have learned that no matter what your relationship with your parents, you miss them when they are gone.
I have learned the power of a song. I have learned, I have learned, I have learned, I have learned.
I have learned another word for passing judgment is to predispose.
I have learned if my life's not flowing, I may be standing on my own hose.
I have learned it's good to keep an open mind, long as you don't let your brain fall out. Keep it in.
I have learned that, like that sign in Las Vegas says, you must be present to win.
I have learned that even when I have pains, don't have to be one.
I have learned life's too short not to have some fun. I have learned, 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 but I still have a lot to learn.
Reverend Julie, this is a time in our service that we have an offering. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Oh, thank you, Jan. Wow, I really love that song. Yeah, I just want to thank everyone who are continuing to support Unity and just grateful for your contributions. I know as we're not meeting together in a building and being able to hug each other, sometimes we forget that the ministry still goes on and needs support. And so just remind you that all your contributions help in this ministry to continue. And yeah, thank you so much. And you can go on our webpage, uh, Unity of Wesleyan or World Healing Center, and it gives you all the information on how you can contribute, how to mail a check with the address, perhaps other ways of contributing. But thank you so much again for all of your support in this ministry.
Thank you. Thank you. And as we wind this service down today, I just want to invite everybody to take time to reflect and incorporate the guidance that Reverend Julie has offered us in this first part of her three-part series. So you want to be here for the next two sections as well to find out more about shortcuts to our own miracles. And so as we complete this formal time together, imagine a candle in your mind, that light that we say never goes out. Because why? We are the light. And as we come to the close here, we want to remind you again, our website is www.worldhealing.org. You can contribute directly there or find the information about all the things that are coming up. Though we are digital, we are still active. There's a women's circle, a men's circle, there's healing, there's food from the heart. There's so many ways to participate. And again, I also want to thank you all for continuing to support the ministry. And we are going to say our prayer of protection at this moment. And in your mind, and say along with me, if you would, the prayer of transformation that we've said so many years in Unity around the world. The light of God is in us. The love of God moves through us. The power of God transforms us. The presence of God is who we are. Wherever we go, God is, and all is well. Thank you again. Best to you. Have a good, safe, and wholesome week. Work on that smile. That's our assignment. Let's do it, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, and thank you, Reverend Julie.